will be of no comfort to learn that it wasn't until Lent in 2016 that I prayed the Great Litany. I knew what it was, of course, but I had served churches who never did it and served people who didn't have any memory of it. And so it just wasn't something that was done. And I defended not doing it, of course, based on all of those reasons, but also because I said the language was old-fashioned and that we didn't speak that way anymore, and that idiom needed to be put aside. Well, then my colleague, the Reverend Miriam Gelfer, who joined me in ministry in 2015, said, I think we should reintroduce it. And Miriam has a beautiful soprano voice, and so she did introduce it, and I shall always remember the moment in which Miriam's voice, along with two other voices, singing these petitions, and then the whole congregation processing around the church and singing in response. I kept thinking, this is the prayer, and thank God for Miriam. A litany, as you know, is simply a kind of prayer in which a leader reads or a cantor sings a number of petitions to which the people give a repeating response. We use litanies all the time in our prayers of the people and intercessions and at other times. The Great Litany was among the very first liturgies used in English rather than Latin. And it predates the first Book of Common Prayer because we know that it was in 1544 that the Great Litany was first introduced, written by Archbishop Thomas Cranmer himself. And so it's understandable that it falls on our ears as if it's 500 years old, because it practically is. The emphasis is on wickedness and punishment, and it's medieval. And we're unaccustomed to phrases such as from the crafts and assaults of the devil, and from everlasting damnation, and from all false doctrine, heresy, and schism. These anachronisms inspired the Standing Commission on Liturgy and Church Music to adapt the Great Litany and to develop a 21st century version of it in the multi-edition approved resource called Enriching Our Worship. Right now, in 2025, there is for me tremendous power in this particular prayer. Fundamentally, it captures the concerns of people a half a millennium ago, and while their theology and their worldview might be very different from ours, their fear and anxiety and humanity unites us to them in mystery and power beyond explanation. We watched a president of the United States belittle a world leader inside the Oval Office. And as the president unilaterally renames geography, including sharing a video forecasting scenes of a resort to be built in Palestine called Trump Gaza, we know that whatever we think of these particular actions, what were once givens are not. So I'm praying with ancestors long gone who fought for freedom from all oppression, conspiracy, and rebellion, from violence, battle, and murder, and from dying suddenly and unprepared. Good Lord, deliver us. We pray for faithful church leaders and just politicians, for the homeless and the hungry, for women in childbirth and for children, for the lonely and the suffering and the departed, and for all the world. And as we strive to keep our balance amidst chaos, we cry out to God that it may please Thee to strengthen such as do stand, to comfort and help the weak-hearted, to raise up those who fall, and finally to beat down Satan under our feet. We beseech Thee to hear us, good Lord. What was old is new again, is what I say, and that includes the Great Litany. The world in which Archbishop Thomas Cranmer lived was full of suffering and disaster and war and pain. But that's the same world in which humans have always lived. And that world has also been full of love and compassion and decency and courage. And in every time and place, God is and has been and will be present. May God bless you and keep you. May God make her face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May God lift up the light of his countenance upon you and give you peace. I wish you a holy and blessed and life-giving Lent.